Now, in this chapter, you have to study the state of Indian economy, and the another thing is factors which led backward and stagnant state of Indian economy. The two things are there. Now, what do you think? What was the state of Indian economy on the eve of independence? What was the state of Indian economy on that period? State of Indian economy under British rule. Please unmute your mic. Soumya Singh. Sorry, mute your mic. Hello? Now, what is the sole purpose? The sole purpose of British rule was to reduce to country to being a raw material supplier for Great Britain's for their rapid modernization. What was the main objective of British rule that period? The main rule was just they want to reduce the economic status of India, and the second thing is they just want to modernize their British economy. Clear? Now the next thing is, in this chapter you have to study about three periods. First, before the advent of British rule, during and after the British rule, and after the British rule. The entire period is classified in this category: before, during and after. In this chapter you'll have to study about this during the period. Before advent of British rule, we were it seems to be that the Indians are considered very rich. We are considered, as you know about this word, Sone ki chidiya, है ना? We were called Sone ki chidiya at that time. We were at that time. What was the main source of economy? It was the first is agriculture. Almost 85% were living in that, lived in the village area, and they are totally dependent upon the agriculture. So agriculture was the main. And after this, not in we were well known about the handicraft, precious stoneworks. We were worldwide famous for these things: handicraft, precious stoneworks, and so on. And the old Nawabs and so on, they were generally our brand ambassador for all those things. After the British rule, we'll study in the next chapter. Okay. In this chapter, you'll have to focus about this. During the British rule. During the British rule, what was their main objective? What was their main objective? Their main objective was only to promote their economic interest and exploit the Indian economy. ऐसा नहीं है कि that time there was no one who wants to estimate or don't want to nurture about the Indian economy. There were some economists, some individual efforts were there, like Dadabhai Naoroji, William Digby, Findlay Shiras, V.K.R.V. Rao, and R.C. Desai. They were little bit, they have contributed something about in the Indian economy to estimate the national income. Even they try to enhance the per capita income, but it was not the, you can't say that it was the great contribution. They just tried. There are 4 or 5 main names: Dadabhai Naoroji, William Digby, Findlay Shiras. They were interested to estimate the national income that period. Now, if you want to study this, you will have to classify some headings so we can study about properly. Indian economy The first one is agriculture. Agriculture. Second, industry. Then foreign trade. Then demographic transition. Demographic transition. Next, occupational structure. Occupational structure and infrastructure. Infrastructure. So if you want to study about that period, first you will have to classify in these 6 sections, so you can understand properly about the Indian economy. Clear? Now, the 85% people were engaged in agriculture sector, and in spite of that, the agriculture sector continued to experience stagnant and deterioration. If 85% are engaged there, still the condition was stagnant and deterioration. Now, what are the features? What are the features of Indian economy, of Indian agriculture that time? That time means under the British rule. The first point is low productivity. Low productivity. If, just think over it, if 85% were engaged there, and in spite of that there was low productivity, then what is the reason of it? What was the reason of it? That 85% of a country is doing the same work, and in spite of that there is low productivity. Just because of lack of technology. Okay, the reason is behind that lack of technology and problems of irrigation facilities. As you know, that time we were totally dependent upon the monsoon. Right now we are little bit dependent upon the monsoon. Some of the area in our country is well equipped by the irrigational facilities, but at that time we were totally dependent upon the monsoon. I think this is clear. This resulted the low productivity, and not only this, there was large section of tenants, small farmers and sharecroppers. They don't have the sufficient technology. So this is the other one reason. Is that clear? What was the main cause of low productivity? It was the lack of technology and irrigation facilities, and Britishers has not done any effort on this matter. Second, loss due to huge cost involved. Huge cost involved. What is the meaning of this huge cost involved? Actually, that time owners of the soil were different from the tillers of the soil. The owners enjoy the output in the form of rent. Okay, but they did not bear the cost involved in process of agriculture. Industrial sector on the eve of independence. How was the situation in that period? of industry. As you know, at that time we were renowned in the handicraft, but the British government make the policy for systematic decentralization, systematic deindustrialization. They have adopted two-fold policy. They affected our industry in two ways. The first one is decay of handicraft, industries, and another one is, second one, slow progress of modern industry. Okay, it was the twofold policy. The first, they try to decay or decline the handicraft industry. At that time, we were very much renowned all over the world for our handicraft work, but they have such kind of policy, so our industry is decayed properly. So the first one is decay of handicraft. कैसे उन्होंने किया? How they are capable to do all these things? So the first point is introduction of discriminatory tariff policy. They introduced discriminatory tariff policy. So which kind of tariff policy? Actually, they started, the first point, write down their first point in this. The policy allowed free export from India. The first is free export from India, and second one, free import of Britain goods. Free import of Britain goods. Second point, Indian handicrafts were discouraged. By imposing heavy duty on their export. बच्चों को क्लियर हुआ ये? The first one is introduction of discriminatory tariff policy. They made discriminatory tariff policy so that they can discourage the Indian industry, basically handicraft. How? Free export of Indian raw material. Second, free import of Britain finished goods. Second point is low priced machine made goods. You just think over it, that how the low price machine made goods can destroy our industry. Actually at that time we were our industrial condition was very bad. So that time the total production or manufacturing was based on the man-made. At that time, Britishers introduced machine-made goods. Definitely, that goods will be cheaper in comparison to our industry, our country goods. And the second thing is that is also of standard goods. And our country goods cannot compete with that kind of goods. Clear? Third one, changes in taste and preferences. changes in tastes and preferences. Due to impact of British culture, taste and preferences of people were shifted to the favor of Britishers. At that time, as you know, all what is our traditional dress? We generally don't use pant, shirt, coats, and so on. But due to the culture of Britishers, we just give interested in their clothes, their tradition, their culture. So our taste and preferences also transfer to their favor. Fourth one, fall in encouragement to Indian handicrafts. Before the British rule, Indian handicrafts were supported by the Indian Nawab, emperors, and so on. But after their, yes, the next point is fall in encouragement to Indian handicrafts. Actually, before the British rule, Indian handicrafts were supported by the Indian emperors, princes, nawabs, etc., which had given our handicrafts and international recognition. But because of British rule, these patrons were losing their existence. Okay, so these are the 4 points which are the causes of decay of handicrafts. Now the second one is slow growth of modern industry. Slow growth. The next point is slow growth of modern industry. Now what is the concept of this? The slow growth. Actually it was the another feature of the industrial sector of India at that time. Okay, so the first point is lopsided growth of industries. Lopsided growth of industries. Actually that time modern industry began to take root in India, but its progress remained very slow. It was another problem with Indian industries. We are confined to setting up of cotton and jute textile mills and coal mines only. TISCO was incorporated in 1907, and it is the important date, 1907. TISCO incorporated that time. It was the single industry that time. A few another industry were also introduced like sugar, cement, paper, but their growth rate was very slow. बहुत सारी इंडस्ट्रीज थी लेकिन उनकी जो ग्रोथ रेट थी वो बहुत स्लो थी. So the first one is lopsided growth of industries. Second, lack of capital good industries. Lack of capital goods industries. That time there was, you can say, the no capital good. We were totally depend upon of the Britishers for the capital goods. At that time we were not enjoying any major capital good industry. We were totally depend upon the Britishers. Third, lower contribution to GDP. Lower contribution to GDP. The first thing is growth rate of industry sector and the contribution to GDP had very small. And the another thing is the overall desired rate of progress is very less. And the last one is limited area of operation, limited area of operation of the public sector. Public sector was not very much interested in all the field. It was interested only confined to the railways, power generation, communication, ports, and some departmental undertakings, which was not adequate. So these are the two basic concepts related to. The first point is status of India, status of India as an exporter of, as an exporter of raw materials, raw materials, and importer of what? And importer of finished goods. What you are studying, foreign trade on the eve of independence. What was the condition of foreign trade at that time? So first one is India became an exporter of primary goods. Exporter of primary goods. And which kind of primary goods? Like raw silk, cotton, wool, sugar, jute, etc. And importer of finished goods like woolen clothes, capital goods produced in the Britain. So that time India became the market for the Britishers. Second one, monopoly control. Monopoly control. Simply, if the Britishers are rulers, definitely they control our entire industries, है ना? Control over India's export and imports. As a result, half of India's foreign trade, the important thing is, more than half of India's trade were restricted to Britain, and the rest of the countries like China and Persia, China, Ceylon. Ceylon means that time Sri Lanka was considered to be Ceylon, and Persia. Persia is now Iran. But more than half of the export were go to the Britain. Third point, misuse of export surplus. Misuse of export surplus. Whatever our foreign trade generated, that surplus go to the Britishers, and it is led to drain of Indian wealth. So these are 3 points which can you write in the condition for the foreign trade. Demographic conditions under the British rule. The first point is high birth rate. That time high birth rate. And what about the death rate? It will be high or low? Anshika? High. Okay. Birth rate was nearly 48 per thousand compared to 21.4 per thousand in 2013. That time the birth rate was 48 per thousand compared to now this is 21.4 per thousand in 2013. The data given in the book is up to 2013. Acha, the one most important thing, the first time in 1881, the census was taken in 1881. The population were first collected in census 1881, and after that every 10 years, after that the census operations were conducted after every 10 years. Before 1921, the 1921 is the important date. Before 1921, the population was in the first stage of demographic transition, but after 21, this is considered as the year of the Great Divide. What is year of Great Divide? 1921. Because after 1921, the population of India is rapidly increasing, and still it is increasing. Okay. And what about the death rate? This is the high birth rate, and what about the death rate at that time? That time 40 out of 1000, and now 7 out of 1000. So that time birth rate and death rate, the both were high. Okay. Second is infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate. Mortality rate means what? Number of infants dying before reaching 1 year of age. Infant mortality rate means what? Number of infants dying before reaching 1 year or 1 year of age. And it was that time, it was about 218 per 1000. That time it was 218 per 1000. Out of 1000 infant, 218 were died. But now this is about this is 44 per 1000. Third, literacy rate. Literacy rate. Actually, literacy rate means what? That refers to number of persons capable to read and write with above 7 years of age. With above 7 years of age. The overall literacy level was less than 16%. Just think over it. Only less than 16%. The literacy rate means out of 100, only 16 persons are literate. And now means up to 2013. Out of this 16%, the female was only 7%. So the low level of literacy rate also indicate the social backwardness of the society. The fourth point is life expectancy. Life expectancy means average life of a person. Average life of a person. In India, that time it was 32 years. But now it is considered it is 68 years. But due to corona, now what is the expectancy rate? The next is poor state of health facilities. Health facilities. Actually, that time public health facilities were either unavailable or highly inadequate, and British rule spent very little on health care facilities. Water and airborne diseases were rampant and proved fatal for human life. And the last one is widespread poverty. This is another feature of that time population. GDP and per capita income of the country were very low, which led to widespread poverty in the country. Infrastructure during the British rule. The first one is roads. Actually, roads constructed in India during the British rule were built primarily for the purpose of mobilizing the army. What is the main purpose? Is mobilizing the army. Definitely they built some road, but the main purpose is what? That was mobilizing the army. And not only the mobilizing the army, the another one is drawing out the raw material. Drawing out the raw material. Okay. Drawing out the raw material from the country side to the nearest railway station. It doesn't mean that they will draw the entire raw material by the roadway, but it reaches up to the nearest railway station or the port. So they can send these raw materials to the foreign destinations. Clear? There was not much progress in the construction of roads, and the another thing was there was always an acute shortage of all weather roads. In the rural areas during the rainy season, it was impossible to reach. In fact, still the condition is in the village area remained as the same, but not at that time conditions. The second one is railways. The British introduced railways in India in 1850. Just write down this line. The British introduced the railways in India in 1850. And the railways affected the structure of the Indian economy in two important ways. First, it enables people to travel long distances. And the second one, and if they are able to cover the long distances, it breaks the geographical foundation and cultural barriers. So that's why we can integrate. Okay, and the next one, it fostered commercialization of Indian agriculture. So what are the two main aspects were there? The first one, it break geographical and cultural barriers. Second one, it is helpful for the Indian agriculture also. The social benefit was definitely increased by this railways, but what is the main aspect of Britishers? Why they did so? Actually, they want to draw out the raw material from the railway also. So they developed the railways. Third, air and water transport. Air and water transport. Even the Britishers do some work on the air and water transport, but it was not so developed and it was costly too. So it was not worked very properly. And the fourth one is communication. Communication. British rule in India developed the modern system of communication. Post and telegraph. Post and telegraph were the most popular and widely used means of communication that time. And what was the main reason of them to develop this communication? Actually, they want to maintain some law and order. So that's why they have introduced the very expensive system of electric telegraph. The first stamp was released in 1852. The first stamp was released in 1852, and the first telegraph line was established in 1853. What are the positive impact of British rule in India? The first point is commercialization of agriculture. Commercialization of agriculture. At that time, we were not in that condition that we can commercialize our agriculture. 85% people were living in the village area and they all were engaged in the agriculture. But in spite of that, the agriculture portion in our GDP was very less. So just because of them, our agriculture were commercialized and self-sufficiency and independency increased. Second point is development of infrastructure. Development of infrastructure. No doubt, some of the bridges, some of the road, railways, development of post and telegram, means they have done a lot in reference of infrastructure. Third, check on famines. Developed means of transport and communication helped in regulation of food supply. Present condition is very good for us. Here we are not facing the problems with the unavailability of food. But that time it was the very big problem, and the natural calamities, है ना? So that time the food supply and medical help was available just because of Britishers. Fourth, monetary system of exchange. British rule helped to India to move from barter system to monetary system. Otherwise, before that, we were using only the cows and commodity exchange. And the last one is effective administration. The British government followed an effective and efficient administrative setup, which left a legacy of effective work. So these are the 5 points which you can say that these are the positive impact of British rule in India.